Ciao, I'm Mary Ann Esposito. Today on Ciao Italia, soup in a can should stay there. That's your line. Ciao, I'm Mary Ann Esposito. Welcome to Italy, and let's cook real Italian. Aren't they gorgeous? Swiss chard. I knew you said that. I'm in heaven. Think about how healthy this is. That's for you. Sundae sauce. All 20 regions of Italy are fabulous. And every time I do this, I think of my Nonna Galasso because she always made it this way. You want a Goldilocks dough, just right. Who doesn't like basil, especially in the summer? Obviously, you have to have pesto sauce at some point, right? I mean, I'm a cook. Why can't I try it? You're the best.
No, you're the best.
I bet if I asked you how you make a good chicken soup, you would have the answer. Well, I do too. And today I want to make a good chicken soup for you using my Nonna Galasso's recipe. Yes, she was super duper at making all kinds of dishes, but I loved her chicken soup, especially when I had a cold. So I'm going to show you how to do it. And in my kitchen, I have this mentality when it comes to making chicken soup. You start with the things that are clean first before you touch the chicken, because you really have to be careful when you're dealing with raw chicken or any raw meat for that matter. So by clean, I mean the vegetables. So for a good chicken soup, you need to have some herbs, fresh herbs, and I like rosemary and sometimes thyme, but today I'm doing it Nonna style with some basil and some parsley. So fresh basil and parsley. You just want to make a little bouquet garni. This means just tie those herbs together. Makes it easier to fish them out when you're making the soup while the soup is cooking. Okay, so there's our little bouquet, and that goes in a soup pot. So besides that, we want to have some aromatic vegetables. And here we have what everybody has in their kitchen: carrots and celery. So I just take off the stem ends, and then I just roughly chop these up. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. That goes in the pot. And then, of course, celery. Now, a lot of people remove the leaves, but you know what? There's a lot of flavor there. So don't remove the leaves. So again, you just want to chop that up coarsely. So 2 carrots, 2 stalks of celery go into the pot. And then you want onion. And here's where Nonna really excelled. Now this was a woman who, you know, had no education, but her cooking was superb. You use a whole onion and you leave the skin on. Yep, you leave the skin on because that's going to give a lot of flavor and also color to the soup. Goes in just like that. Sometimes she added cloves stuck into the onion, but I'm not doing that today. And then, she never did this, but this is what I do now. You know those ends of Parmesan cheese? Don't throw them away. They're great in soup. So when I get to the end of the grating cycle, or the eating part of having Parmigiano Reggiano, I take this and I throw that right in the soup pot because that's all edible too. And that's going to give a nice flavor to the soup as well. Then we want some black peppercorns. So I would say, oh, a handful, 12 to 14. They go in. And now we have what we need, except for the chicken. The polo is next. So what do? Well, you have a designated mat. I never put this on a wooden cutting board or just on a plastic cutting board all by itself. I put it on something that these sheets of plastic come for different types of foods, for seafood, for meats, for poultry. And then I put on my gloves. Yes, I do. Put on my gloves because I don't want to contaminate my kitchen. So this is what you do. I have the garbage door ready. And then I deal with this. So for this soup, when Nona did it, of course, she cut up her own chickens. I would often help her. So the necks, the wings, the feet, they all went into the soup. I kind of got a little leery when the feet went in, so I'm not doing that today. So I think what makes a great tasting chicken soup are the thighs. They're meaty, they've got some fat in them, and you need a little fat for the soup. So here are the thighs, chicken thighs. I put them on my mat, like so. And then I dry them off with a paper towel. This is the new thinking today, folks. You know how you used to rinse your chicken off in the sink? Your whole chicken, you had to get out all the fluids, the liquids inside, and so on and so forth. Well, while you were doing that, you were also contaminating your sink and everything else around it where the water was splashing around. So it's better to do this, to dry off the chicken for whatever, you know, if you see any blood or excess liquid, you just dry it off. And this is a good tip too for when you're frying chicken as well. Once you have them all dried off and cleaned, instead of rinsing them, then you can just put them directly into the pot. So I've got 5 meaty chicken thighs. So they go in. This goes in the garbage. These go in the garbage. My hands are still clean. This goes into the sink to be cleaned later. And now I can add salt. So we give this some salt. And I'm not going to put too much salt in here because this is something that you want to taste after the soup is cooked. Now that's all there is to the ingredients that go in the pot. But now we have to cover this with cold water. And then that's the second part of Nona's genius when making chicken soup. Because once it comes to a boil, then what you really want to do is lower this heat to barely a simmer, because the flavor is going to be developed slowly. If you just boiled it, you'd be boiling off all the flavor. It all would be evaporating into the air. So we want to start on the boil, and then we want it at a very low simmer. A soup like this is going to cook in about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on the size of the chicken. So that's the easy part of making a chicken soup that you could use for anything. And today we're going to use it to make a very classic dish from Italy, something called meatball and escarole soup, often referred to as wedding soup. Now for the meatballs. We want to make tiny little meatballs because we are making an escarole and meatball soup. Like I said, that was often called a wedding soup. And I never really understood why they called it a wedding soup. Well, come to find out, they served it at my own wedding, so then I knew it's the kind of soup you serve at a wedding. So this is why it's called wedding soup. And I'm sure that many of you have your own version of how to make this. So for the meatballs, we want the crumb of some stale bread in a bowl, because that's going to help bind the meatballs and hold their shape. So I'm just crumbling up some bread in a bowl. You want to use good bread. Don't use, spongy bread. Use really good bread. So this is a good reason to hang on to your day-old bread. So you just put the bread in a bowl, and then we're going to add some milk to this. Okay, and you could also use just breadcrumbs for this if you didn't want to use fresh bread. The rest of this we're going to use for breadcrumbs. So then we want to add just some milk to that, to just moisten that a bit. While that's sitting there, we want to dice up, or mince up rather, some garlic. So fresh garlic. Everybody has their recipe for doing meatballs. Some people add water instead of milk to the bread. And some people add a lot more liquid, whether it's milk or water, to give a different texture to the meatballs. So 1 clove of garlic. And here's a little trick for garlic. If you have time, you take a little bit of salt and you just put it over your garlic. And if you step away and you do something else, come back 5 minutes later, it's going to be soft, very soft. It's going to be creamier. It's going to be a lot easier to mince. But I don't have that kind of time, folks, because I got to get this done for you. But the next time you're mincing garlic, try it in your own kitchen. Okay. Plus, the salt helps to keep the garlic in place on your cutting board. All right, so that can go right in there. Then we need some parsley. Here we have some beautiful flat leaf Italian parsley, stems and all. So you want to dice that up, mince that up, and add that to the milk mixture. This is also the basic meatball recipe that I would use if I was just going to make meatballs for tomato sauce. But today we're making meatballs for soup. Okay, fresh parsley. And now for the meat, you could use a combination of ground chuck and ground veal. You could use a combination of ground sirloin and ground chuck. I'm just using ground chuck today. So there goes the parsley. And then we want an egg. That goes in, 1 egg. And we want some cheese. So here we're using Parmigiano Reggiano. Parmigiano Reggiano cheese is that wonderful cheese that comes from the region of Emilia-Romagna. And you recognize it by buying it in a wedge. Cow's milk cheese, it's a DOP cheese, which means that it can only be produced in one area. Ground chuck, 1/2 pound. I'm gonna put that right in there. Before I get my hands in that, and yes, you do have to use your hands for this so that you can get control on forming the balls, I want to add just a tad of olive oil to my bake sheet. But we're going to bake these meatballs. We're not going to fry them. You can fry them if you want, but I like to bake them. This is where Nona and I differed, because she always fried her meatballs in a big black cast iron pan. So just give some olive oil over a bake sheet. If you want to fry them, you can do that too. My hands are clean at the moment, so I'm going to put them in here and mix this all up so it's well combined. The combination of different kinds of meats will give you different flavor and also will give you different moistness. But I think the chuck has just enough fat in it so that it's great for these tiny little meatballs. And after we bake these, that's when they go into the soup. So really combine these ingredients well. Every time I do this, of course, it smells just like Nona's kitchen, so that's a nice reminder. Okay. All right. Now you could have a pan of cold water at the ready, because as you make these, of course, your hands are going to get a little sticky. But you want to make just tiny little balls. See? About that size. Small little tiny meatballs. And these are used in other recipes in Italian cooking besides for soup. For instance, I don't know how many of you have ever seen me make the timballo from southern Italy. A timballo is a molded, usually pasta dish that has not just only pasta with it, but eggplant and tiny meatballs encased, kind of like in an eggplant, an eggplant cake pan. So you line a cake pan with eggplant, and then you fill the center with mozzarella cheese and these beautiful tiny little meatballs, and you bake. So our oven is preheated to 350 degrees. And these little meatballs are probably going to cook in about 20 minutes or so. And then, oh, you hear that? The timer's on. Perfect. That means our oven is ready to go. So you just keep making them until you have a whole tray full. And you pop them in the oven for about 20 minutes. And then we're going to let them cool. This part you could do ahead of time. So if you wanted to do this the day before you make the broth, you could. So get the meatballs all done, and then you just add them to the soup when you reheat the soup. And they go into a 350-degree preheated oven. You want them to turn nicely brown. So when the soup is ready, you want to take out all of the vegetables into a sieve. So all of the chicken, the carrots, all of that goes into a sieve. And you want to make sure that the sieve is placed over a bowl because you want to capture all those juices from the vegetables and from the chicken. So make sure that you have a fine mesh sieve. Or you could use paper towels in a sieve. If the holes are too big, you just line it with paper towel first, or you could use just cheesecloth. So get out all those vegetables. Along with that cheese rind, that was really good flavoring. And then when you have all of the vegetables out, you can pour the liquid, your soup, right over them into the bowl below. So we have everything. Okay, now I need to get it. This way you strain out the peppercorns, and this makes a nice clear broth. So if there are any little bits of the vegetables left behind, they will be in the sieve and not in the clear broth. The vegetables and the chicken you're going to use for another meal. All right, essential to this soup is escarole, scarola, as it's sometimes called. And this was a favorite of my Nonna. She loved to use escarole. She would open the leaves and stuff them with raisins and breadcrumbs and tie it up with string, and then she would braise it in some liquid. But we're going to use the leaves raw in soup. So when you get a head of escarole, and escarole is a member of the chicory family, so it has a little bit of a bitter taste. So you want to clean it first. And often I just use the inner leaves in a salad. This is another way to use it besides braising it as a vegetable or putting it into a soup raw. So I'm going to take off the leaves, I'm going to wash them, and then I'm going to tear the leaves off, and then we're going to have that ready for our soup. We need about 3 cups of shredded up escarole. We're at the part now where we can add the escarole, but first I want you to look at this broth. This clear, beautiful chicken broth. We took out the chicken, we took out the carrots and the celery, the peppercorns, and we strained that out. But we're going to use that for something else. But now we have this clear, beautiful broth. And we need to add the escarole and the meatballs. The escarole, of course, is just going to wilt right down into the soup, so you don't need to cook this very long at all. So this is about 3 cups of escarole goes in, along with the meatballs. There they are, all nicely browned and baked in the oven. They go in. And then with this, of course, we have to give a little salt and a little pepper and some orzo pasta. What is wedding soup without orzo pasta? I cooked this ahead of time, and now I'm just going to put it right in the pan. Mix that around. So we have everything in here, the meatballs, the escarole, the orzo, and now we need just a little squirt of lemon juice. to bring out that flavor. Always love doing that. And it's really all ready to serve. So there you have it. Chicken soup, also called wedding soup when it has meatballs and escarole in it, alla nonna Saporito and nonna Galasso. Whenever I make this soup, I think of Nonna Saporito and Nonna Galasso, the soup queens. Oh, and before you serve it, make sure you add a nice sprinkling of Parmigiano Reggiano cheese over the top. Now it's perfetto. And until I see you nella cucina again, I'm Mary Ann Esposito. Ciao. I'm in the Vatican museums, and you would probably need a lifetime to understand everything that's here. These are galleries that are filled with all kinds of statues representing all kinds of people. I couldn't begin to tell you who they are, but what's interesting is the way stone comes alive in these figures. And so when I look at all of these, of course, I think, well, this all started out with just a chunk of stone, a chunk of marble. And someone who was talented was able to create life, so to speak, out of them. All these different faces have different expressions, their hairstyles. You can learn a lot about ancient history by just looking at their features, looking at the hair, looking at the clothes that they wore, without really knowing, well, who were they and why are they so important and why are they here? But the Vatican, of course, has an immense collection of art, not just of statuary, but paintings from the most famous painters in the world, Italian painters. But this is just a walkthrough. This is just to get an idea of the scale of what is here. And I don't even think we could appreciate the scale. There's just too much to see. So I'm going to be meandering around here for a while, just taking it all in. This is just visual history. It's visual history because you can look at the statues and you can see the dress that they had of the day, the sandals, the decoration. And of course, these were all painted, so there was all colors on these statues, which I asked someone what the base was, and I was told that they're just natural pigments. I would imagine that they used things like egg yolk, maybe saffron, I don't know for sure, but I would assume that those would be some of the natural things that they would use. But when I'm walking through here, I'm thinking, imagine all of these statues with colorful garb and, you know, flesh-looking faces. Must have been amazing. Here's another mosaic that is just, it blows my mind actually, the different colors of the mosaics, the story. Look at the interconnecting chain there. Just the design of the whole thing. The phases of the moon. It's fantastic. It's what I need in my house. I'm drawn to this because, not to be macabre about it, but this is a, you know, a sarcophagus, a tomb. And it's just, I think it's great. First of all, I'm a Leo, so I love the fact that they have the lions, beautifully carved. But look at the flowingness of this garment. I think it's beautiful. You can almost hear the music of them having a good time. It's exquisite. It really is gorgeous. But that's what's in the Vatican Museum.